quick update here. We have not cleaned this out yet. So we still don't know. Well, I'll say we don't know if this cylinder bank is any good. Worst case, it's not any good. I can put a 650 bank on there, 650 top end pretty much, if I wanted to, or I can get a 550, but maybe this is okay. What I did though, I did skip a few steps, not knowing if we're building it. Sometimes you have to jump on things when you see them. So I was looking around at other parts and ran across this tank on eBay. Tanks for what I bought this for look like they've been dragged by trucks down the gravel road. This one was in really good shape for $100, so I had to jump on it. The problem is this is an 82 GS 550. Looked more like a chopperish cruiser. It's pretty ugly in my opinion. So this the tank that I have is for an earlier style. It's from a 78. The frame is pretty much the same, except for the rear peg mounts and the exhaust mounts. The only difference, I did a lot of research. As you can see, this tank is sitting pretty high and pretty far back, because those teardrop tanks set farther back, and you could see some of the frame here. Those tanks are pretty ugly. But so I did some research. By research I mean look at 1,000 different pictures of frames, and so there happens to be this hole here. I didn't know what that was for. So this is the pin for your front tank mounts for an 82. The old style happened to look like they were in this position. So I was wondering, you know, the old style frames doesn't have a hole back here. This whole gusset looks completely different, but your tank mount pin looks to be about here. So I figured out the later version, like the Katana, has the old style tank, or it looks to be the old style tank. And the best I can tell, I would assume that hole is there for that option. They would put a pin here instead of here for the Katana. So I'm thinking, to get this tank where I want it, you know, I can cut these pins off and put one here, you know, cut to the right length, put my grommets on there, or the isolators, and that should get the tank, the front of it rather, where it goes. And then I'll have to figure out, I'll probably have to fabricate something to mount it to the rear at the right level. So the problem is, this pin is well, this one is a 10mm, and here in America, trying to find 10mm round bar is not easy. 3/8 could be had. It's really close. So I thought about making one out of 3/8, but the rubber grommet wiggles around a little bit. You want a good snug fit on there. So what I did, instead of trying to order 10mm round bar, got a long 10mm bolt, grade 8, you know, it's good and strong. I can cut it to the length I need. There's enough of a shank there to be just right, and it should fit right in that hole. I can cut it to the length I need. Got washers that should fit on there and fit in the grommet. Cut all this off, and I'm hoping the tank lands pretty much where we want it. Alright, I've got my bolt cut down to the right length so it snugly fits into the tank. So The next problem I've got, that does put me kind of where I want to be. I think we're going to go with it. The problem I have now, the second difference is on the earlier style, the coils mount to your backbone here. There's this weird little strap. So right now, the tank is hitting the coil, so I will have to relocate these. For now, I'm going to take these off and make sure the tank will fit on there. Go ahead and put this pin in. I'm not going to weld it just yet. So it's in there loose, but it's enough to where, you know, I can mount the tank on there, just set it on there. I'm going to go ahead and take these coils off and refit the tank and see what it looks like. Before I take these off, I want to show you guys something. These screws here are not Phillips. I'm not crazy. They are not Phillips head screws. They are called cross points. It's a JIS, Japanese Industrial Standard. Sometimes you get away with using Phillips screwdrivers, but anybody who works with anything Japanese, these old bikes, or even cars, you need a good set of JIS screwdrivers. Vessel's the ones that I go with. They're the original. It's a total different style. These fit in those screws dead nuts, whereas Phillips are designed to cam out when you get to a certain torque. That's the theory. Of course, that doesn't work exactly. You can round them out, but these are JIS. So if you deal with any of these old Japanese bikes, you know, they love these cross point screws and everything. But even cars, you know, Mazda, whatever, Japanese cars, that's what they have too. Get a good set of JIS screwdrivers. Pin in, the grommet's on, it's all loose. I still got to put washers, weld the pin in place, centered up, of course. That's where it should go as far as my theory goes. So now the problem is, pictures I see, yeah, my research pictures, the tank is a little farther forward than that. Not much. I'm okay with that because the fork legs kind of hit the tank where it's at, so I'll have to limit that somehow. Problem is that tank is still pretty far back, and I'm pretty confident that nothing is different on the frame except for the pin location for the tank, and you know, the earlier style doesn't have this aluminum section for the rear pegs. You know, it's got a steel tube triangle section there. You know, I did a lot of comparing, obviously just pictures, so I'm thinking this tank is actually for something bigger. The 750 has a similar tank. It looks like that. This is I think a little too long. You can tell the petcock. Now maybe there's some variations in different years. That's a little behind the engine, and the back of the tank is well behind the backbone. I'm not thinking that's correct, and I could be totally wrong, but I'm gonna do a little more research, and the guy may have sent me a tank for a 750 or something like that. That's kind of what it looks like. That's the only one I know of that looks like the 550 tank, but it's a little longer, a little bigger. I like the size of the tank and the shape, other than the length. The length is a little too long, I think. Who knows, we may go with it, but I'm really, you're not leaving a lot of seat room here. Go back and look. You know, a lot of that rear section will be cut off. There'll be a hoop there. I'm thinking a little brat seat or something. But it's not going to go any farther back than, say, where the sprocket is. So it doesn't look like it in the video, but that'd be a pretty short seat. I'm not thinking I want to do that. Want something a little longer. I'm gonna do some research, and I'm gonna contact the guy I bought this from, and this may be for a 750. I kind of feel like it is, so I'm gonna call it there, and like I said, more research, and we'll go from there.